Hello, this is Alan welcoming you to the 2199th edition of the Enfield Talking Newspaper. Dateline is 25th of July 2019. The readers this week are myself, Sonia and Jeanne, with Ian on the controls. The editor was Phillip, and the production and distribution team is Jeanne and Joan, the two J's. Our title music, as you well know, is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prie, Fernand Bouillon and Harry Breuer, and is performed by Jean-Jacques Perry, and is used with his kind permission. The local news stories that we will be reading come from the Enfield Independent and Palmer's Green and Southgate Life magazine, and are their copyright. The lead story this week is Disturbingly Bad Flats in Before the news, we have some notices for you. First, the sunrise and sunset times for the week beginning 29th of July 2019. They are sunrise at 05:19 and sunset at 20:54. Enfield Vision are holding a drop-in morning on Monday the 5th of August from 10:30 a.m. until 1 p.m. at Community House, which is at 311 4 Street, Edmonton, N9 OPZ. A representative from Santander Bank will be talking about scams and how best to deal with them. So please come along, all are welcome. Do get in touch with us to share your own news and special announcements. We love to hear from you. If you have any comments about the Enfield Talking newspaper, please phone Diane de Jersey on 020 8805 6578. She is your listener's representative and will of course be pleased to help you. Now, Jenny will read the first item of local
Neighbours feel
news.
powerless to stop a developer cramming people into an office block it wants to convert into flats. Refuge House in Riverfront, Enfield Town, will be converted into 52 studio flats, some of them with a floor space of less than 30 square metres. The smallest flat will be just 23.4 square metres, well below the national space standard for studio flats in new dwellings of 37 square metres. But permitted development rights brought in by the government in 2015 mean developers can avoid following these guidelines and do not need planning permission when turning offices into flats. Matt Byrne, who lives in Fifield Road, claimed small flats can lead to mental health problems for the occupants and be a disaster for young children. He said, "I'm not particularly against the offices being turned into flats. I'm just not keen on really awful ones. They're just cramming people in and overcrowding them. It is quite disturbingly bad." But while Mr. Burns said quite a lot of residents were against the scheme, they were powerless to stop it because they could only object on technicalities, such as a lack of cycle parking, that the developer could easily accommodate. He said Enfield Council should have followed other local authorities by bringing in powers that could stop these conversions from going ahead. Known as Article 4 directions, these powers allow councils to reject permitted development rights and prior approval applications, meaning developers have to apply for planning permission. Mr. Byrne, who said he was not motivated by NIMBYism, said it was really frustrating that Enfield Council hadn't adopted the powers. The development is being carried out by a company known as Time Board Industrial Properties, with RPS Consulting acting as agent. In a planning assessment carried out by RPS, Principal Planner Rachel Mottram said the development would provide much-needed housing for first-time buyers in a highly accessible location. The council could not have stopped the refuge house conversion from going ahead because the application was made under permitted development rights, and it does not currently have an Article 4 direction in place to restrict these types of development. An Enfield Council spokesperson said, "We are currently looking at whether to include an Article 4 direction in the new local plan which is currently being developed for the borough. Attempts were made to contact Time Board and RPS Consulting was approached for comment."
Prestigious award for historic park. Forty Hall Park has been recognised by the Green Flag Award Scheme as one of the very best parks in the world. The park, which contains a 17th century manor house, is among a record-breaking 1,970 UK parks and green spaces that have received a prestigious Green Flag Award or Green Flag Community Award, the mark of a quality park or green space. This international award, now into its third decade, is a sign to the public that the space boasts the high environmental standards, is well maintained and has excellent visitor facilities. Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Environment, Councillor Guni Dogan, said, "We know how much quality green spaces matter to the residents and visitors, and this award celebrates the dedication that goes into Forty Hall Park to such a high standard. A special mention needs to go to all the volunteers who make such extraordinary efforts to maintain, cultivate and
Here's
promote
an
the
interesting correction issued by the Enfield Independent regarding an article that appeared in their publication. On October the 30th, 2018, we published an article about calls for Labour councillor Ishmael Ossamore to step down after being caught in possession of drugs at a festival. We incorrectly reported that he had smuggled the drugs in. We can confirm that this was not true, and the substances were purchased on site. We apologise for the error.
Woman killed in car crash. A man has been charged following a fatal collision on the A10. A silver 320 BMW and a silver Volkswagen move-up collided on the A10 northbound carriageway at the junction for Reed at around 8:42 a.m. on Sunday, July the 14th. Catherine Roberts, 77, of Linkside, Enfield, sustained fatal injuries. She was sitting in the rear seat of the Volkswagen. Mohammed Ahmed, 37, of Upland Road, Thornwood, Epping, appeared at Hatfield Remand Court on Tuesday the 16th of July. He was charged with causing death by dangerous driving. He was remanded in custody to appear at St Albans Crown Court on Monday the 19th of August. The driver of the Volkswagen, a man in his 70s, was injured and taken to Addenbrooke's Hospital for treatment. PC Felicity Moody from the Bedfordshire, Cambridgeshire and Hertfordshire Road Policing Unit said, "Our thoughts are with the family of the lady who tragically lost her life in this collision. Her next of kin are being supported by specially trained officers. We are continuing to make inquiries in order to establish the circumstances around this collision. We would be particularly keen to hear from anyone who saw either vehicle between Buntingford and Royston prior to the collision, especially if drivers have a dash cam. Anyone with information can contact PC Moody at 01438 757 592 or on the web felicity.moody@hearts.pnn.police.uk.
ugly skyscraper rejected. The Mayor of London has vetoed plans for a controversial new skyscraper in the City of London. The Tulip, named for the shape of its distinctive viewing gallery, would have been Western Europe's second tallest building, just 1 metre shorter than the Shard. But opponents said its phallic-shaped structure would be an ugly blight on London's skyline. The skyscraper, set next to the Gherkin in the heart of London's financial district, was approved by the City of London Corporation in April. Work on the 305-metre-tall attraction was due to start next year, with an opening date planned for 2025. But the Mayor of London's review panel report, published on Monday, July the 15th, said the designs did not meet the world-class architecture standards demanded of a project of this scale. With its concrete stem and large viewing gallery, the building could resemble a watchtower looming over London, according to the panel. And with limited free public access, the benefit of attracting tourists was outweighed by the downsides, they concluded. The panel also suggested that the height of the build would negatively impact the nearby Tower of London, and raised concerns about overcrowding at street level around the attraction. A spokesman for Sadiq Khan said, "The Mayor has a number of serious concerns with this application, and having studied it in detail, has refused permission for a scheme that he believes would result in very limited public benefit." London Assembly member Tom Copley, Labour's housing spokesperson at City Hall, said he was glad the Mayor had rejected an ugly and bulbous blight on London's skyline. Mr. Copley wrote to the Mayor in April to highlight his opposition. He said, "It is impossible to see how Londoners would benefit from this phallic-shaped viewing tower, which does not provide free access to the public, would waste valuable land, and lead to even more overcrowding." The architects behind the tulip, Foster and Partners, said they were disappointed with the Mayor's decision. A spokesperson for the firm said, "The tulip will generate immediate and longer-term socio-economic benefits to London and the UK as a whole. We will now take time to consider potential next steps for
Councils
the project."
aim to increase recycling rate. Cutting blue and black bin rounds to once every fortnight will help to raise the borough's recycling rate to 50%, the council says. Changes to the waste collection service form part of a reduction and recycling plan that aims to ensure Enfield meets citywide targets set by the Mayor of London. Approved by Cabinet members on Wednesday, July 17th, it also includes proposals to upgrade the council's fleet to electric vehicles. The Mayor's London Environment Strategy, published last year, states that boroughs must recycle half of the waste they collect by 2025, meaning Enfield needs to achieve a significant rise on the 37% recycling rate it achieved in 2018. But the shake-up of the borough's waste rounds, which is set to take place next spring, has met with opposition from Conservative councillors and many residents. The move will also see the introduction of separate weekly food waste collections and a £65 a year charge for garden waste. It was the least popular option set out in a consultation that drew more than 5,500 responses, more than any other Enfield Council consultation. A new petition has been set up to urge the council to drop the plans after a previous petition failed because many people did not give their full address. The reduction and recycling plan includes some details on how the council will help residents to recycle more. It states that all curbside properties will be offered a larger 240-litre recycling bin, along with council-issued plastic recycling sacks. The council will also draw up a strategy aimed at increasing recycling in flats, which are not included in recycling collections. Guidelines have been updated to ensure new developments meet minimum standards for waste and recycling.
Council leader's apology criticised. The leader of Enfield Council has been criticised for apparently failing to say sorry for breaching the Code of Conduct, despite being told to by the council's legal department. Councillor Nezel Kaliskan expressed regret that her intentions had been misconstrued, but stopped short of using the words sorry or apologise in a formal response to a complaint by former Scrutiny Committee Chairman Councillor Derek Levy. Councillor Levy said he did not consider it to be a proper apology, and added the council leader does not seem to appreciate the significance of what she has done or acknowledge that she has done anything wrong. Councillor Kaliskan breached the council's code of conduct over remarks made following a scrutiny committee meeting in October last year on proposed changes to bin collections. After then chairman of the committee, Councillor Levy, agreed the proposals should be sent back to Cabinet to be reconsidered, Councillor Kaliskan emailed him to suggest he should meet with her regularly to ensure he was more closely aligned to key decisions on Labour group priorities. Councillor Levy complained to the council's monitoring officer, warning her that emails risked threatening the impartiality of the committee, which is designed to hold decision-makers to account. A solicitor appointed to investigate the complaint recommended Councillor Kaliskan offer a written apology to Councillor Levy for the remarks. But Councillor Kaliskan's email to Councillor Levy, which has been seen by the Enfield Independent, claims she had wanted to ensure he was provided with the most accurate information about our council's policy. It adds a genuine offer to discuss with you, Councillor Levy, those Labour group policy commitments which we had collectively agreed to as candidates and elected members of the Labour group was something which I believed that I was entitled to do as leader of the Labour Council, the Labour group, and leader of the council. The email concludes, I regret if this intention has been misconstrued or was capable of being misconstrued. Enfield Council was asked whether the email counted as an apology under its governance rules, but has yet to comment on the matter. Councillor Susan Erbil replaced Councillor Levy as chairman of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee following elections by the Labour group in May. In response to a question by Conservative leader Councillor Joan Laban at full council on July the 10th, Councillor Kaliskan said she was confident Councillor Erbil had the skills that mean she does not mistakenly misconstrue any future communication from myself or executive members. Councillor Kaliskan was also approached for comment.
I have now 3 letters, and the first concerns a blue badge theft from Geoffrey Yates of Riverview, Enfield. He writes, I am a 90-year-old volunteer at Chase Farm Hospital and have a walking disability, which is why I constantly need to use my blue badge. I hope the person who broke into my car on July the 5th to steal my blue badge feels proud of their work and the problems they have caused me. And now concerning a Good Samaritan, from Mary Boast of Greenacre Walk, Southgate. She writes, Thank you to the kind gentleman who stopped his car and came to my aid when I fell on Cannon Hill last Tuesday evening. Your caring attitude and help was much appreciated. And finally, an appeal for stamps. D. Ashton of Blackburn writes, I collect used stamps to help rescue animals. If anyone has any spare used stamps that we can use to help rescue animals, please can you forward them to Stamp Donations, Mrs. D. Ashton, 66 Highbank, that's all one word, Highbank, Roe Lee, that's R-O-E, and next word L-E-E, Blackburn, Lancashire, and the postcode is BB19SX.
Warnings over spiritual healers. Believers in spirit surgeons may be risking their health as well as wasting their money, skeptics have warned. New Zealander Jeanette Wilson will be bringing her psychic surgery show to Enfield in August, promising that it may change the audience's view of reality. But pro-science skeptic group, the Good Thinking Society, have warned that people expecting serious medical conditions to be healed may be putting their health at risk. Project director Michael Marshall said, "Patients who entrust their health to anyone who claims to use psychic energy to treat any illness or injury risk wasting their time, wasting their money, and potentially even exacerbating their conditions. Those patients could be convinced to believe that the solution to their health problems lies not in the advice of their doctors or any qualified medical professional, but in the healing powers Miss Wilson claims to have and the expensive products she sells." Miss Wilson, age 56, denies offering to cure anyone. She says she helps explain causes of disease and how people can improve their well-being. She said, "I would never encourage people to not go to a doctor. I would never do that. I'm very responsible. I film healing 10 times a night, and people can see that it is real." The former bank manager claims that at the age of 31, she was spiritually awoken and given a gift from God. Ms. Wilson said the spiritual guides told her she was born to be a healer and teacher. She said, "It started with me experiencing my dead grandfather in my chest. I then started seeing the spirit world, and I thought I was going mad. I was having nervous breakdown, thinking, what on earth is he doing in my chest? But I have ended up with this amazing gift." She added, "People are getting well at my events, and more people come to my shows." Miss Wilson performed at the Dugdale Centre earlier this month and is set to return on August.
Now another article on those bin changes. And this is a new petition protests bin collection changes. Waste will spill out onto the streets. A new petition has been set up to urge the council to drop planned changes to bin collections. The online petition, launched by Palmer's Green resident Seraphim Leonidas, brands the move to fortnightly connections unacceptable and a stealth tax. It has been set up to force a debate on the changes at full council after a previous petition failed to do so because many of the 6,500 people who signed it did not include their full address. Enfield Council plans to collect household rubbish and recycling every 2 weeks from spring 2020. It will also carry out weekly food waste rounds and charge £65 per year for garden waste collections. The petition, which so far has more than 430 signatures, is available on the Enfield Council website. It needs to be signed by 3,124 Enfield residents before August the 27th to trigger a debate at a full council meeting. The petition states, "The impact will be absolutely clear and obvious. Our bins will overflow and our domestic waste will most likely spill onto the streets, be it in boxes or plastic bags, and, worse still, even loose, allowing wildlife to rummage through the refuse, creating an even bigger, unsightly and unhygienic mess. There will undoubtedly be an increase in vermin in general." Enfield Council says the waste and recycling changes will allow it to protect frontline services such as adult social care and children's services. It needs to make savings of £18 million in 2019 to 20 and a further £12 million the following year, following cuts to government funding. The bin collection shake-up will lead to savings of £7.5 million over 5 years. The council has also pledged to invest an extra £500,000 a year in street cleaning.
Now, an article explaining how chips make children feel safe in Palmer's Green. CHIPS is the Community Help Point scheme and was created in 2006 by Enfield Council Young People's Services in partnership with Enfield Council, Enfield Safeguarding and Metropolitan Police Enfield to establish a network of volunteer safe havens across the borough of Enfield. It aims to provide young and vulnerable people who are lost, at risk, or feeling vulnerable a safe place to go in and ask for help and assistance from the community. Members are CRB checked and display the CHIPS H logo and can make a phone call to get assistance for someone, allow someone to sit in safety for a while until a risk has passed, give someone directions on how to get to their chosen destination, call the police, medical or social care teams. There are around 200 CHIPS points across the borough, including schools, leisure centres, libraries and a network of shops, cafes and other street front businesses that can provide help for young and vulnerable people. Baskervilles, opposite Broomfield Park, are also registered with CHIPS. Staff at help points can make a phone call to get help for you, allow you to stay in the premises until help arrives or until a risk has passed, call the police if you are the victim of a crime, call a member of your family or a care team if you need more help. Please share this initiative with your children and friends so that people are aware of CHIPS and can find help if they
Remembering
need
a
it.
hero. This is a letter from Jeff Gale of Palmer's Green. Last Saturday, the 20th of July, the Museum of Enfield's new exhibition, Enfield at War 1939-45, opened at the Dugdale Centre. It remains open to the public until April 2020, and a visit can be recommended. The museum had earlier sought recollections, information and loans from the public, many of which are included in their displays and information panels. Clearly, not everything they received could be selected for inclusion, and although a contribution I offered appears briefly summarised as part of a collection of oral histories, I write in the hope that you will feel able to publish this letter to ensure that the sacrifice of a local RAF airman, Flight Sergeant Arthur Reginald Hack, might receive wider remembrance via your columns. Although just one of the many who made the ultimate sacrifice during the air defence of Great Britain during the war, he died whilst flying with 137 Squadron on a sortie over Kent designed to intercept the V-1 flying bombs, the Doodlebugs, with which Germany began terrifying London following the D-Day landings. As a graphic display in the exhibition records, over 40 of these destructive and much feared weapons fell in the Enfield area between June 1944 and March 1945. And without such men as Reg Hack, who perished exactly 75 years ago on Saturday 27th July 1944, flying to intercept them, who knows how many more might have caused death and destruction across Enfield and the rest of the country. Reg Hack is buried in Lavender Hill Cemetery. Remembered on the Enfield Grammar WWII Memorial, and following an appeal for information from Colin Welch of Research Resource, published in your paper in 2014, to which I was able to respond, his name is now further remembered on a memorial unveiled in the village of Denton in Kent in 27th July 2016, the location of which is where his Typhoon fighter crashed that day in 1944.
Support shake-up to lower council tax. The tax burden on low-income groups could be eased under a planned shake-up of support payments. Changes to Enfield's council tax support scheme mean people on the lowest incomes could save more than £30 a year. The council wants to lower the minimum amount claimants have to pay towards their council tax bills from 26.5% to 24.5%, so those eligible for the most support will pay less. It says 12,200 council taxpayers on the lowest level of income would save an average of 60p per week as a result of the change. But bills could rise slightly for some of the better-off claimants due to plans to raise the income taper from 20% to 22.5%. Support schemes were brought in by local authorities to help vulnerable residents pay their council tax after the government scrapped its own benefit scheme in 2013. It meant councils had to fund support for people who struggle with payments from their own budgets. Recent changes to the support scheme in neighbouring Haringey mean 6,000 of its lowest income families no longer have to pay any council tax. Enfield Council wants to ensure the changes to its scheme do not significantly alter the £32 million a year it currently costs to run. In fact, the proposals would increase income for the council by £112,000 per year. On Wednesday, July the 17th, Cabinet members agreed to launch a 12-week public consultation on the changes, which will begin soon. Councillor Leader, Councillor Nezel Kaliskan, said the proposals followed detailed discussions within the council that led to a collective decision making a clear political commitment to help those on the lowest incomes and our most vulnerable residents.
Palmer's Green Tales is a website run by Jenny Bourke and Susan Memmott, which puts films on the internet. And she writes to say that Susan Memmott and she, that is Jenny writes, have been very lucky in filming a great London local club and also a local musician who plays in a wonderful group called the Massive Violins. The first film is about the North London Netball League, who have been playing in Broomfield Park for nearly 70 years. Teams from all over London come and play throughout the autumn and winter in all weathers. Indeed, you will hear the wind whistling through some of our film, and some of it had to be filmed again due to the inclement weather. This does not prevent the teams from playing. Lots of people started playing when they are young, and then alongside their playing become umpires and or coaches as they progress. Maria Miller, who helps run the league, pictured here with her daughter, Lucy Turner, a North London Netball League player and umpire, and with her grandson. The netball courts do need refurbishment, and as they play such an integral part of the North London sporting life for girls and women, we all hope they are refurbished in time for the start of the 70th season for North London Netball League in the autumn of 2020. Two of the England players who won gold in 2018 started playing here, and they are Sasha and Cadine Corbin. Sasha and Cadine will both be playing in the 2019 Vitality Netball World Cup in Liverpool this summer. Our second film is about Camilla Farrant and the Massive Violins. If you haven't seen the Massive Violins perform, you are in for a great treat when you do. They play at least 2 concerts a year at Cecil Sharp House in Camden, and their next one, their last one, was on the 20th of June. I have been to several concerts there, and it's a great venue. Camilla has lived in Enfield all of her life and was educated locally before she went to Cambridge. The name Massive Violins is both a pun and a clue to their music, as they are all cellists, and there is a lot of humour in their work. They are all great singers as well as wonderful musicians who arrange popular music to suit themselves. And you can find these films on www.palmersgreentales.com, or you can find Palmer's Green Tales on Facebook, and they have a Twitter address which is at
This
PG
is an article
Tales.
by Ian K. Jones, and it's headed Walltime Survivors in Southgate. After 1945, Southgate rapidly removed the majority of its wartime structures and street furniture. This article will look at some of what survives in Southgate in the hope that some readers will provide others to be added to the record. There's a picture, first of all, at Broomfield Park. When preparations for war began in the late 1930s, Southgate was quick off the mark, putting on a comprehensive display of air raid precautions, ARP, in Broomfield Park in the summer of 1938, which was filmed for training purposes. On government instructions, structures including air raid shelters, air raid wardens' posts, pillboxes, and gas decontamination centres were rapidly designed and built. At the end of the war, many of the plans were put in a safe place and now form an important part of the World War II archive in the local studies centre at Dugdale House. Many people built their own shelters, but most who had the space opted for the earth-covered corrugated steel Anderson shelter, while others used the indoor table-like Morrison shelter. Only some public shelters are presently known to survive here. 2 are in the grounds of Arnos School, now the Broomfield campus, and can be seen from the road. Shelters were also created inside structures deemed strong enough, like the space below the bridge stairs at Palmer's Green Station, where you can see a brick tin entrance to the safe site. The last surviving warden's post in the borough, D4, was demolished sometime after 1971, but the Gas Decontamination Centre in Broomfield Park still stands with its distinct water tower. It was used as changing rooms for many years, but is presently empty. Many existing buildings were used for civil defence purposes, including Southgate Town Hall, whose basement was the local air raid precautions, later civil defence, control centre. There were a huge variety of defences created to protect London from invasion, but all that are presently known to survive are a couple of pillboxes. Everything else, like tank traps and anti-glider obstacles, seem to have vanished. One pillbox at Oakwood Station covers both the line and the tracks to the sidings. The other was one of three on the perimeter of the officers' POW camp at Trent Park, which kept rescuers out as well as the occupants in. Their recorded conversations, which are now being studied, provided the Allies with much vital information. And you'll be able to find more about the history of Trent Park during the war when the opening of the new museum occurs in 2021. And it'll have its own website, trentparkmuseum.org.uk. And you can find much more information about Southgate and Enfield as a whole in Enfield at War 1939-45, which will be published in July 2019, in conjunction with a major exhibition at Enfield Museum in the Dugdale
And this
Centre.
is another article on the war, Remembering the Heroes of World War II, by Councillor Joan Laban, Conservative member for Highlands Ward. And at the time of writing, Britain was commemorating the 75th anniversary of the D-Day landings. She writes, "We are marking this event not just because of its importance in the history of our country, but the sheer scale of the operation. I will set the scene. By dawn of the 6th of June 1944, thousands of paratroopers and glider troops were already on the ground behind enemy lines, securing bridges and exit roads. The British and Canadians overcame light opposition to capture beaches codenamed Gold, Juno and Sword, as did the Americans at Utah Beach. US forces faced heavy resistance at Omaha Beach, where there were over 2,000 American casualties. However, by day's end, approximately 156,000 Allied troops had successfully landed on Normandy's beaches. According to some estimates, more than 4,000 Allied troops lost their lives in the D-Day invasion, with thousands more wounded or missing. The Battle of Normandy, which lasted from the 6th of June 1944 to August 1944, resulted in the Allied liberation of Western Europe from Nazi Germany's control. The invasion was one of the largest military assaults in history and required extensive planning. Prior to D-Day, the Allies conducted a large-scale deception campaign designed to mislead the Germans about the intended invasion target. The Germans had thought Calais would be the landing point. Normandy was not the obvious choice. By late August 1944, all of northern France had been liberated, and by the following spring, the Allies had defeated the Germans. The Normandy landings have been called the beginning of the end of war in Europe. The generation who fought during World War II was a heroic one. Sadly, many of those involved in that war are leaving us. Therefore, it is so important that we continue to mark these events. We owe the freedom to choose our government, follow a religion, and express opinions freely due to the immense sacrifice made. In my opinion, thank you will never be enough for what those involved in World War II did for us, and it should never
Uncovering Local History by Martin Dern. The Enfield Archaeological Society has been excavating, researching and publishing on all aspects of the past of what is today the Borough of Enfield for nearly 70 years. He writes, "Our work in the 1960s and 70s located Ermine Street, the Roman road that runs north-south through the borough, and the small Roman town that lies beneath parts of the Bush Hill Park area. And we found the lost Tudor royal palace of Elsing, which is buried in the grounds of Forty Hall. Our professionally led team of ordinary members of the community continues to excavate further elements of all of these sites, as well as, often on behalf of the borough, investigating and monitoring sites of all periods. Our most recent work a few months ago was in Enfield Park, where we revealed the original Tudor entrance to the water gardens around the house. And projects in the last few years have ranged from recording large public World War II air raid shelters in Pims Park, Edmonton, to investigating finds of Ice Age mammoths in local gravel pits. Many years of small excavations in Bush Hill Park residents' back gardens allowed us, in 2017, to publish a substantial book detailing what Enfield was like in the Roman period, and reconstructing the development of a Roman town that lay alongside Ermine Street and acted as a services for travellers along this nearly 2,000-year-old motorway. By contrast, our annual excavations in the grounds of Forty Hall focus on the scheduled ancient monument of Elsing Palace, built and lived in by several national figures, such as Sir Thomas Lovell, a key member of the governments of Henry VII and Henry VIII, and then acquired by the latter. Both the location for Edward VI being told he was king on his father's death, and a childhood home of Elizabeth I, we are slowly revealing what made this grand palace of Elsing tick, such as the large furnace pictured, which would have fired a huge vat in which to boil joints of meat for the royal table when monarchs visited. Blogs on our website, www.enfarchsoc.org, that's ENFARCHSOC.org, detail the day-to-day progress of past and current seasons of work on the site. There is an open day each year, in 2019 on the 27th of July, and we welcome local people who want to join our digging team. Details on the website. And there is a photo of a round hole lined with bricks, which is the furnace which would have fired the vat for boiling the joints.
Palmer's Green Community Spirit. This is an article by Kiri of the Fabulous Hair Company, who are at 382 Green Lanes. Hi everyone, and thanks again for taking time to read my article. I have lived in Palmer's Green for nearly 50 years. I went to school in Palmer's Green and was a Hazelwood parent for the better part of 2 decades, and have owned a business on the High Street for the same amount of time. Personally, I feel my roots are firmly planted here, and I have seen and lived through many changes. The last few years have been the most challenging for Palmer's Green. The disruption to the High Street to accommodate the cycle lanes and people opting to shop online rather than support their local High Street has all had an impact. High streets all over the country have been in decline for years. At the end of 2016, we had 2 empty shops. However, in as little as over 2 years, this has risen to over 20 shops. Like the saying goes, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And that's exactly what our community has done. In the last few months, we have seen the Palmer's Green Action Team organise a mass spring clean. This group consists of local residents and mums getting together and rallying the community to clean shop fronts, flower beds and adding to the high street with potted trees. You may have noticed how many shops now have hanging baskets and potted trees. I would personally like to thank the PGAT for their efforts in making it such a successful day. More recently, the Green Lanes Business Association annual carnival returned to Palmer's Green. Local business got together to organise a day of festivities along Green Lanes, a day when residents are encouraged to explore their high street, and parents can bring their children to watch local dancers from different cultures perform. The Punch and Judy was a great addition, keeping children enthralled for hours. And with so many different acts on show, fortunately, the weather holding out, this was another great day for the community. I urge you to support our high street. Explore what it has to offer, shop locally, and keep Palmer's Green vibrant. Discover what happens in Palmer's Green on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, by following Love Palmer's Green, or check the website www.lovepalmersgreen.com.
And now the big lunch at the Mall. On Sunday the 2nd of June, cars made way for trestle tables filled with food, brightly coloured bunting fluttering in the wind, and kids skipping through a sprinkler. The stench of car exhaust was replaced with the mouth-watering smell of sizzling food as the residents of the Mall celebrated the big lunch in the blazing Southgate sunshine. Started by the Eden Project in 2009, the Big Lunch encourages friendly, safer neighbourhoods by bringing together people who live close but rarely speak. Following a spate of petty crime in December 2018, a neighbourhood WhatsApp group was formed. With about 80 participants from a road of just over 100 households, it's been a great success, improving community spirit, allowing residents to share local knowledge and updates on community issues. It also prompted the idea of the Big Lunch. Organiser Sam said, "We'd never done this before, but I thought it would be a lovely idea to bring people together and put names to faces." By 1 p.m, tables were filling with an amazing variety of delicious dishes to eat, including a champion barbecue spread from enthusiast Stelio. I just love doing a great barbecue and seeing the smiles on people's faces as they eat. Laura, another of the organisers, commented, "It was great to see the children getting to know each other and taking advantage of the quietness of the road to cycle up and down. We even discovered the hidden talent of one of our neighbours as a face painter, which really delighted the young ones." Carol, who has lived on the road for over 20 years, said, "I hardly knew anyone on the road before, but now it's lovely to wave and say hello to people." The Mullers appreciate the support of Anthony Webb estate agents in planning the event. They aim to keep fostering a friendlier, safer neighbourhood, and some of the neighbouring streets will join them next year. And there is a selection of photographs showing all the different events in the street.
The Enfield Charter Market is advertising its Crafters Corner. This doesn't take place every Saturday, but only certain Saturdays, and the next ones are on August the 3rd and September the 7th. And these are from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Enfield Market, Marketplace, Church Street. And if you would like tea or coffee, cake and some activities, if you are age 50 or over, then there are tea and chatter mornings at the library in Enfield Town every first Thursday of every month. These take place from 10 until 12 in the first floor community room of Enfield Town Library. That's tea and chatter mornings on the first Thursday of every month. If you would like more information, you can speak to a member of staff or call Enfield Town Library on 020 8279 8341. And these are sponsored by Enfield Age UK and Enfield I Can. If you would like more information with regard to the services I Can offer, and these are for enabling independence and choice and control and improving well-being, then for their services call 077 184 86341.
Local businesses work together to beat crime. This is an article from the Metropolitan Police by Erica Crawshaw. Hello everybody, I am Erica Crawshaw and I am the Neighbourhood Inspector for Enfield Borough. April unfortunately saw another rise in robberies in Southgate and Palmer's Green wards, but positively for May, a reduction in both, significantly so in Southgate. We have increased patrols in these areas and have utilised our neighbourhood tasking team to assist us with uniform and plainclothes patrols. We have also been working with the local authority and McDonald's to share information around teenage individuals who are targeting school children. On a positive note, burglary has reduced and remained stable since the Christmas peak in the area. A scam alert. Over the last 3 months, we have been notified of incidents that have occurred at local supermarkets where drivers of vehicles are being distracted by a male pretending there was damage to their vehicle and then taking the opportunity to steal items from within the car. Please be vigilant around this scam. We are very pleased, in conjunction with the local authority, to have been involved in the launch of a pilot community initiative called Business Watch, which has been coordinated and created by local resident Joan, with the support from community member Tox Child. This is for businesses along and surrounding Chayside Southgate to notify each other in real time of crime. So far, over 60 businesses have signed up, and through a WhatsApp group, this allows better sharing of offenders and incidents between businesses and neighbourhood officers. In the first week of June, CCTV footage from one of the recently signed up businesses allowed us to identify a prolific motor vehicle offender seen breaking into 2 vehicles at the rear of the shops on Ashfield Parade. We have also been able to pursue a number of incidents as a result of information sharing. You may be aware that there was a serious assault that occurred on the 25th of May 2019 in Broomfield Park, which naturally caused concern locally. A male, known to the victim, has subsequently been charged with attempted murder. For daily updates on the borough, you can follow Enfield Police on Facebook and Twitter at MPS Enfield. As always, we hold our weekly contact points and will be at some of the summer's events, in particular the Palmer's Green Festival on Sunday, the 1st of September.
Now, parliamentary comment by Bambos Charalambos MP, entitled "Prevention is Better Than Cure." When it comes to public health, never has there been a truer saying. Public health monitors, protects and promotes the community's health. Monitors, protects and promotes the community's health and cannot be overestimated. There are clear correlations between inequality and unhealthy lifestyles. Smoking, obesity and alcohol consumption are all associated with economic deprivation. Public health plays a vital role in addressing causes of illness. It also plays a crucial role in supporting our coveted NHS by preventing the spread of illness. It is no exaggeration to say that central government has taken an axe to public health budgets in recent years. Council's public health grant funding has been cut by £531 million between 2015 and 16 and 19 and 20. Recently, the Enfield Borough Over 50s Forum has shone a light on this important issue. Their excellent work has uncovered the fact that on top of a national funding crisis for public health, Enfield is severely underfunded compared to other boroughs. For instance, it has emerged that this year, per head of its population, Haringey will receive £67, Islington £103, Camden £100, Kensington and Chelsea £130, but Enfield will receive only £47. So the gap between Enfield's public health grant and the London average is now £26. This just will not do. This level of funding takes no account of the changing needs of Enfield's people or its expanding population. We live in an area which has some of the most deprived wards in the country. Even in relatively affluent Enfield Southgate, we have areas of severe poverty and pockets of chronic, preventable disease. It's time the government fulfilled its duty and funded public health in Enfield Southgate properly. People here deserve nothing less. That is why I have written to Seema Kennedy MP, the Minister for Public Health, to express my deep concern about the situation. I have asked why public health funding for Enfield has not been updated since 2015, in line with the changing needs of its citizens. I have asked why the government have also recently admitted that no specific assessment of any relationship between funding since 2015 and the effectiveness of services in Enfield has been made. Clearly, this latest admission is a deeply worrying sign that the government has absolutely no grasp of the real level of need in Enfield Southgate. I know only too well from my weekly surgeries that the public health need in Southgate is chronic and worsening. There is no justification for the fact that Enfield's public health grant is so much lower than the London average. I will continue to hold the government to account on this issue. It is often said that the mark of a civilised society is how it treats its most vulnerable citizens. We are failing this test as a nation, and only the government can put this right. If you wish to join me in seeking to end the underfunding of public health in Enfield, you can write to Seema Kennedy, MP, Under-Secretary of State for Public Health at the House of Commons, London, SW1A 0AA.
The Winchmore Pub at 235 Winchmore Hill Road organises an event aimed at eliminating loneliness and making it lonely less every other Saturday morning from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Their advert says, "No one should be left to feel lonely and isolated." Independently, we have been hosting a non-profitable social tea and cake event every other Saturday at the Winchmore. Everyone of all ages is welcome to drop in and socialise and find comfort in making new friends. There are free hot beverages and donated cakes and biscuits, together with multiple activities. Cold drinks, alcohol and pub food for sale as normal. For more information, you can contact Chrissy or Alex by emailing lonelylessevents, that's all one word, at hotmail.com.
Now, if you think you belong to the Elvis era, here is something you can do on Tuesday the 30th of July from 1 to 3 p.m. at Grange Park Methodist Church in Old Park Ridings. It's a fun afternoon of live music and singing from the Elvis era. So come along and join in the fun. Everyone's welcome. It's going to be free, but there is a suggested contribution of £2.50, which will include a light lunch. So that sounds good value. It's organised by a charity, MHA, and for more information you can call Tony, T-O-N-I, Fielding, who is the scheme manager, on 0208 367 4137, or email her at tony.fielding@mha.org.uk.
The Talkies Community Cinema, with the Friends of Broomfield Park, announce The Jungle Book. Friday the 30th of August at the Talkies Community Cinema, that's in the Old Bowling Green, Broomfield Park. Gates are open at 1900 hours, 7 o'clock, and screening starts at 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. Another great evening, picnicking in the park in the dark. A great evening for all the family with 2016 version of The Jungle Book, described as a terrifically enjoyable piece of old-fashioned storytelling and a beautiful-looking film, spectacular, exciting, funny and fun. It handsomely revives the spirit of Disney's original film while also having something of old-school family movies. That was said by Peter Bradshaw of The Guardian. And it says at the bottom, book early to avoid disappointment. This event is often sold out.
Our local football team, there is a third straight win for Town at Grays. Preparations for the 2019-2020 season continued to go well for Enfield Town, as a single goal gave them a narrow victory away at Grays Athletic. A Town trialist scored what proved to be the decisive goal with 14 minutes to go when he headed home from a right-wing cross by Sam Bantic. The visitors had a few notable absentees due to either holidays or injuries, but regulars from last season that made the starting 11 included Mark Weatherstone, Dan Rumans, Lewis Taff and Ryan Blackman. Town's first opportunity of the game came after just 2 minutes, as Bantic took aim after receiving James Potton's pass, but Gray's keeper Danny Sambridge ushered it wide. Ryan Blackman then fired over, and Bantic couldn't keep his header on target when presented with a cross from the right. Bantic came the closest to breaking the deadlock in the second half, but was denied by Sambridge diving at his feet. The winning goal, though, came courtesy of more good work from Bantic and Enfield's trialist, and the latter steered home a low cross within 14 minutes to go that sealed their third consecutive
Enfield
win.
celebrate winning the inaugural 32 Borough Cup. It was a double celebration for Enfield Borough at the weekend as they won the inaugural 32 Borough Cup at Wanstead Flats, while the first 11 beat Bovington 5-0 away from home in a pre-season friendly. The 32 Borough Cup was instituted by Bobby Kasanga of Hackney Wick FC and was organised with the aim of helping to combat youth violence and to create safer streets for young people. The competition was for 16 to 18-year-olds, and each of the 32 London boroughs were represented, although there were a couple of late withdrawals. So well done, Borough, for winning that. Meanwhile, Borough have also had their fixtures for the new Spartan South Midlands League Division 1 season confirmed. They will travel to Rayners Lane on the opening day, Saturday, August the 3rd, while their first home game will be against newly formed side New Salamis on Tuesday, August the 6th. The opening month continues with a home fixture against Buckingham Athletic, and then closes with trips to Langford and Brimsdown respectively. The campaign will close with the side travelling to Tottenham-based outfit Park View next year on Saturday, April the 25th.
Enfield and Southgate WEA are advertising 4 summer day lectures this year. The first is on the history of film with Ruth Mullandy at Southgate Beaumont, 15 Cannon Hill, Southgate, N14 7DJ. And that is on Saturday, the 3rd of August, from 10:15 to 12:30, and the course fee is £10. The second one is Philosophy, 3 philosophical thought experiments with Brandon Robshaw. That's held at Enfield Baptist Church, Cecil Road, Enfield, EN2 6TG. That will be on Tuesday, the 13th of August, from 10 till 12, and the course fee is £8.90. The third, Literature, Philip Larkin, The Man, His Writings and Jazz, with Michael King, also at Enfield Baptist Church in Cecil Road, Enfield, on Tuesday the 3rd of September from 10:30 to 3:30, and the course fee is £18. And only just arranged, an excellent new tutor for Enfield and Southgate branch called Tudor Lives, Society and Culture, 1485 to 1603, with Amy Miller, also at Enfield Baptist Church, Cecil Road, Enfield. And that is on Thursday the 12th of September from 10 till 12, and the course fee is £10. Now, to enrol, please quote the course reference either online at wea.org.uk, or you can ring 0300 303 3464. You can send a cheque to the Treasurer at 13 Uplands Way, London N21 1DH, or you can just turn up on the first day.
The Diabetes Support Group is inviting you to come and gain support on how to manage your diabetes on the last Tuesday of every month from 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. This group is open to adults aged 18 or over. It focuses on giving support, information and advice on how to live well with diabetes. And the meetings take place at Green Towers Community Centre, 7 Plevna Road, Edmonton, London, North 9, OBT. For more information, please call 020 8375 4120, or you can email ICAN at ageUKenfield.org.uk, or visit ageuk.org.uk/Enfield.
We've reached the end of our programme for this week. Thank you for listening. So, from the team of Jenny, Sonia, myself, and Ian on the controls, it's goodbye.
Goodbye.
Please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet. Put the memory stick into the packet in a closed position and return it to us as soon as possible, in readiness for the next edition. And don't forget, you can call Diane de Jersey regarding any help you may require in connection with Enfield Talking Newspaper on 020 8805 6578. Coming up next, the latest news and information for the Greater London area from InfoSound. The Enfield Talking newspaper will be with you again in 1 week's time.